anybody that is kings and queens of playing to emotions and sentimentality of the people, it is the current crop of people who are now in APC. When they were in opposition, we saw how they turned mountain into valley, turned valley into high ground, made water come out of the rock. I mean, the former governor of Ekiti stated as much. The question you asked me yesterday when he spoke about how their 2012 charade of end subsidy was a political gimmick. So, but can we continue like that? Because if we continue like that, the hatred, the division will only continue to broaden until it gets to a stage where we will never be able to close the gap again. And that is why I am saying that all politicians should be assured and let us focus on governance, on delivering the goods and make our nation grow again so that we can bequeath something to the upcoming generation that they all can be proud of. They can hold their head high.
Interesting, Benga, that you mentioned this, right? Interesting that you mentioned this parts where parties who are not satisfied with the judgment, well, they have the Supreme Court to head to, but then that they should sheath their swords and now support, which is one thing the president called for when he first spoke about the judgment. At the moment, Ben Bruce, you'd remember Senator Ben Bruce, right? He's currently trending on X as we speak, and that's because he said that's a good judgment, and so he's told the likes of the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party and their candidates to move on, and that's the thing about and he's currently trending. Lots of persons talking about that statement, and of course you imagine on that social media platform, what people would be saying, but then just a little perspective on that. I'm sorry. Just what? Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, I can, but I don't have necessarily an opinion about the judgment. I'm just drawing perspective here, but telling individuals who still feel aggrieved about something, well, it's okay to tell them, do not be emotional about this, or do not be too emotional about this, which they. I've read stuff from them. I've read things, a few things from individuals like that who feel like you cannot tell me not to be emotional, about how I view things in my country. But telling people to move on when they feel like justice has not been served, is that what to say to people in such situations?
You see, you can't tell people not to be emotional because human beings are emotional beings. So, but what we are asking is be logical. You see, when I contested in 2019 and I lost, before the election, I already knew I was going to lose. It was already painful. I knew I was going to. Why? Because I was logical enough to see that the I's were not dotted here, the T's were not crossed here, and these other people have dotted their I's there, crossed their T's there. How am I expecting to win? And God is not a magician. So because I was logical, it made it easier for me to put my emotion in check. In fact, the winner of that election, later when we met at an event, confessed to me that I was the only one out of all the contestants who was reaching out like normal and, wasn't feeling any iota of animosity towards her. And I said, why would I feel any animosity towards her? Because even though it is painful that I lost, but because I had looked at the things logically, and the case speaks for itself. Logically, you can't say justice is not served, because justice does not pander to your emotion. Justice panders to hard facts. And the fact as stated by the judges yesterday was that there were many things you guys alleged, and the onus lie on the person who alleges to prove his allegation to conclusion. And you guys do not provide any evidence to back up your many of your allegations. 10 out of 13 of them were thrown out because you said this but no evidence. You said this, it was a vague something. You said this, there were no evidence. I mean, so you can't say justice is not served if you are looking at that. People are saying justice is not served because they are allowing their emotions to be cloud logic. If you can be emotional, and I'm not saying don't be emotional, but let logic, common sense prevail. Be sincere, be fair to yourself. You don't need to be fair to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You don't need to be fair to, you might not like them. I don't like my state governor. He knows. You understand? But I will never discredit him where he did not do anything wrong.
All right.
If he does something wrong, I will stay on the facts of the matter and I will say this, and this. You understand? But other than that, I will never speak ill of him, either privately or publicly, because I don't like him. If he has not done something wrong.
Okay.
And that is how we should approach our life.
So we'll get into an in-depth analysis of this judgment from yesterday on the discourse. Well, of course, needed to touch that just before we go to other stories. Let's go to the Daily Times newspaper and see what the headlines are reporting.
All right, GBENGA, let's look at one of the headlines from the Daily Times newspaper. It appears all the papers are even replete with, reactions coming from the Election Petition Tribunal's judgment. But let's look at the Nigerian Labour Congress. Yesterday, the NLC.
Just before we go to that, let's take calls alongside. We promised we'll take calls as we look at this story. So, hello, good morning to you. Welcome to the show. I'm not sure we can hear you at the moment. Okay, there you go. We can now. Good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Chemoni.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah, I don't expect much from judiciary yesterday. I didn't expect much. But one thing I have observed from the document is that they say that it's non-mandatory for INEC to upload the results into the server. So I now see it as a campaign from INEC to woo people to come out and vote, because they knew that people don't trust that their vote will count. So I wonder the kind of tactics they are going to use in the next election in order to convince people to actually come out to vote. And I also see it as when you set a guideline by yourself and you did not follow it for God knows what. So I want to say that anybody who disagrees is not being logical, that the election was no evidence. I don't want to go, but I just concentrated on this very one, that guideline. That it was just a campaign promise just to get people to come out and vote. And after that, whatever. So I'm looking forward to the next election. Let me see how they will be able to come out, even those who are telling the youth not to give up. I wonder what they are going to tell the youth this next time, that we make them come out and vote en masse the way they did last time around. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Appreciate that. And that's something to maybe look at, Benga, and just touch on that before we go. Well, in Emmanuel's opinion, INEC also, like political parties, engage in certain campaigns, to get potential voters to step out to vote, and they did. And in your view, with this judgment, this ruling from the tribunal yesterday, saying that it is at the discretion of the commission to decide how they want to transmit results, right? How do you think this would affect first the off-season elections we have? November, there's Bayelsa, there's Kogi, there's Imo State, and then next year would have that's in 2024 would have those states. There's Bayelsa also somewhere, right? So how do you think this would affect elections in these states? And then in the build up to the next election in 2024, that's 2024 now, 2027, right? Would Nigerians still be willing, to step out and vote?
Nigerians have never been willing to step out to vote. You understand? Go and check. Even this last election, that the turnout was more massive than all or many of the previous years. Did we still meet up 50 or 60% of the total registered voters coming to vote? No, we still did not meet up 50%. 60% the previous years. So the trajectory, and anybody saying, oh, because of this, because of that, I will not come out and vote. Well, I don't think the person will be missed, you understand, but the person should know that when you don't come out to vote, you are also contributing to part of the problem, because every politics is local. And so if you don't come out to vote in your locality, you might be the deciding vote of who goes to the House of Assembly, who goes to the National Assembly.
But that's exactly the grounds now.
Oh.
So you say that you need to come out to vote in order to, and then you are told that this is how it's going to work, and you believe, okay, yes, it's going to work this way because you said this is how it's going to work, right? And then somewhere in between the process you promised, it didn't go that way, and you're telling me, oh, if you don't come out next time, it is, you are the problem again.
Well, you see, until we get it right, once you fail an exam, do you go back and say, oh, because I failed exam this year, I would not take it again?
In that case, it's in your hands. In that case,
let me check around my workplace here. I'm sure that 40 to 30% of the people I work with, or the people you work with over there, must have failed one exam or the other at some point in their career. And once they fail and they say, oh, I'm not doing it again, those are the ones that are regretting now.
Benga, don't worry. Just hold your thoughts. Just hold your thoughts for a bit, right? We'll go on this short break and we'll get back. We'll get talking some more, right? This is this station where hear the law, talk the law. I know you're right like never before. And well, it's Law FM 103.9. You're live on the Law FM morning show. We've been speaking with AYANNUGA Paul, our guest today on the show. And of course, there's a lot more we could touch on when we're back from this very short break. Be part of the conversation and join in.
Duguri Machinery Services Limited is a standout private company that caters to repairs, sales, and maintenance of all kinds of generators. We repair, fix, service, and maintain all brands of generators. With cutting-edge technology, technical know-how, and unmatched reliability, we keep your lights on when you need it most. Duguri Machinery Services Limited has managed for top brands, namely Mikano, J&J, John Holt Nigeria, Denio, and so much more. Contact us today on 090-334-555-96 or 081-853-95711. Duguri Machinery Services Limited offers you the best service. Contact us today. The new Law FM People's Court is airing live on Law FM 103.9 every Wednesday and Friday at 2 p.m. Be part of the contributions, decisions, and lend your opinion by participating on the show through live phone calls, SMS, WhatsApp, and all social media handles. Again, join the Law FM People's Court proceedings every Wednesday and Friday at 2 p.m. Together, we can resolve the issues that affect us. Don't be left out. This is the news stand on the Law FM Morning Show.
That's right, you're live on the newsstand on the Law FM Morning Show. AYANNUGA Paul very much here. And we're discussing top headlines in the news. And you do know that the biggest story in the news right now, as regards Nigeria, is that judgment by 5 justices of the Presidential Election Petition Court yesterday. A 12-hour sitting, which brought about several, dismissals of petitions brought forward by petitioners, including the People's Democratic Party and its candidate Atiku Abubakar, and the Labour Party and its candidate Peter Obi. Both politicians, one former vice president, one former governor of Anambra State. Oh well, Benga. Well, at this point, Benga, we need to go to other stories real quick before we wrap up the newsstand.
All right, let's look at other stories, Benga. Let's look at just yesterday, the NLC, that's the Nigerian Labour Congress, two-day warning strike, came to an end, and but Labour is saying something, and it appears to be a strong warning from Labour. Labour is saying that we should be ready for an indefinite strike if the federal government fails to, react appropriately to Nigerians' yearning. One wonders, what are the yearnings of Nigerians, and how, what does Labour mean by the federal government reacting appropriately to Nigerians' yearning? Perhaps you might want to shed more light on this.
The simple yearning of Nigerians is that they want more food on their table. And how the federal government can respond appropriately to it is put structures in place that would allow people to have more spending power or get jobs or be able to have more food on their table. And one of the areas the labor union is asking for is increased workers' salary. Why is it taking so long? Why is it that the Borno State governor find it easy to implement this quickly because he's a man of conscience, and all the other state governors, they are not even thinking towards that direction or talking towards that direction, simply because the federal government itself is dragging towards that direction? And if it were to be politicians, office holders, who we are talking about inconvenience allowance for, you approve this very quickly. Nigerians are watching. You can't tell us to bear the brunt and manage the situation while you are not bearing any of it while in government. So people are watching. I think there are many people who are not supposed to be on the trip to India that were on the trip to India. We are seeing pictures and videos now. Even though we heard that the USDA, they caught some people from going, but the reality is that some people still found there are many state governors whose states are literally boiling, and they are not taking care or attending to their people, but because they want actually to see them that they are inventory, they are here in India.
Benga,
and many of them are going to attract any investment.
I was just going to mention that, right? That are you sure that that trip that they've made, these state governors you've mentioned, they're not going there to attract investment to their state. For example, the president has secured one, at least from what we know, the president has secured something close to $15 billion from some commitments from. That's $14 billion in the Nigerian economy from Indian investors. So it could also benefit the states, don't you think? Well, and that's why those governors are there.
I'm not saying it could not benefit the states, but I'm saying that many of those governors do not necessarily have business being there. They have commissioners for trade and investment, and that's why you should ask yourself, why are many states not forming their cabinet yet? Take my state, for example, Ogun State. They are here to form a cabinet. In order to meet up with the 60-day deadline that was said, the Speaker of the State House of Assembly announced on the deadline of that day that the governor has forwarded him to them. But either a black person, white person, Ijebu person, Iwa person, well, the names have not been made public since then. And that time has elapsed. It's only a few crop of people that are managing the cabinet with him and with the permanent secretaries. Why is it taking long for them to form cabinet in their state so that the Commissioner for Finance and Commissioner for Trade and Investment in their state can go there and get the job done? That's what they are employed to do.
All right.
So that the governor can face the more burning issues in his state. But you see, many of these people are playing to the gallery. I want as well. It's not because of this investment. Those investment to them is secondary. See, when we want to talk politics, let's forget about trying to be the devil's advocate on radio. That is the politics of it. Those investments will still come to their state whether they attend or not.
All right. right. At least these governors, got the chance to sing "On Your Mandate We Shall Stand" with the president when the judgment was finally made yesterday. That's something, right? And congratulate the president right there. How timely that is. Well, maybe a coincidence. I don't know. Well, GBENGA, AYANNUGA Paul, thank you so much for being on the program on the newsstand today. We appreciate your thoughts.
Thank you for having me.
Have a great one.
All right, have a great week, GBENGA.
Thank you for it.
All right, it's time to look at these judgments critically and then analyze them, let you know what you need to know as regards this judgment. Well, like GBENGA mentioned, it was a 12-hour marathon of legal, if you like, jargons being said here and there, and you probably didn't understand a lot of those things. Let's break them down for you today on the discourse. Well, what does this dismissal mean? Well, petitions were dismissed. What does it mean? Why were they dismissed? And what other details do you need to know? And all of the details you get to know about those today on the show, on the discourse, which is next. You can join the broadcast. We have a live stream going on, not just on the website where you can listen anytime, anywhere around the world. That's on www.lawfmng.com. That's again www.lawfmng.com. You can listen right there, and we have several news stories for you on the website as well. But you can also go right now to facebook.com/lawfm1039. On Facebook, if you don't want to do that, you could just go to Facebook, search LawFM1039. You'd find the live broadcast there, which will take you straight to where you can view the studios, see what's happening, and indeed also drop your comment. All right, there's a post also pinned there. You can drop your comments there, which is about what we're discussing right away, the review of the presidential election petition court judgment, which is next on the discourse. Do stay here, Lagos and Nigeria. Let's get talking.
What's more conversational than... Oh wait, this is the